can you really get a Tesla after bankruptcy? Jonas, it's pretty amazing, this car.
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
beautiful. If you've got the kids, you might be a little concerned about the white interior, but with this type of leather, these things clean up very easily. And the color combo is a real hit. A lot of people are looking for white on white these days.
We are literally helping clients in the bankruptcy community that have just filed or are filing get into Teslas pretty much on a daily basis at this point. So the answer is absolutely yes. For a Chapter 13 client, we have to wait until their case is confirmed, and then we can get an approval from the trustee to incur debt and get them in the vehicle. For Chapter 7s, even easier. As soon as their case is filed, we can try to get a final loan approval and get them in that Tesla of their choice. So yes, absolutely. We love Teslas here.
We seek out very specific vehicles for our clients, like to have a wide range. Teslas are great. Trust me, you will get used to not paying for gas very quickly. And it's just a great option for our clients that qualify for this type of vehicle.
And this car will be sold to someone who filed bankruptcy.
Every vehicle that we have in our inventory will go to someone that has filed bankruptcy.
So the difference between a 13 and a 7, a 13 you have to wait until confirmation, which is about 90 days. But
Right.
with a Chapter 7, you can do it right after filing. So if someone files today, they can actually get a Tesla, a week after or whenever they qualify via your firm.
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to talk to our clients early in the process. So whether a 7 or a 13, we want to talk to them before their 13 is confirmed or before their 7 is filed. And what that allows us to do is get some information, get a vehicle picked out, get everything set up, get documents that are necessary. And then as soon as your 7 is filed, we can get a final approval from the lenders and ship that vehicle out. And for 13s, we do the same process. And as soon as that 13 is confirmed, we have everything in place. We send out a notice to your firm that you're working with, and we use that to get a final approval from our lenders, and we can get the vehicles out to you. So yeah, we don't need to wait until a 7 client is filed to talk to them. We'd like to talk to them in advance so that when they are filed, everything is ready to go, and we can move very quickly as soon as their bankruptcy is recorded in Pacer.
Jonas, how do you qualify and verify the income when you're trying to get approved for a Tesla loan?
Sure. So with that, what we'll do is there's a list of, documents, just very straightforward that our banks will require. It's called a stip list, a stipulations list. We send that list out to the client. We'll actually help our clients get those documents. We upload them into our system. We provide them to the lender, and that's where, bank statements, some type of a bill, proof of residence, those things. So just some basic
Like a
documents.
paycheck stub type thing?
Paycheck stub, yeah. So we have that list. We'll actually, like I said, we'll help our clients track those items down any way we can. And that's really what the banks use to approve the loans.
What about if you're self-employed? How do you prove income if you're self-employed?
Yeah, so they go off of bank statements for that. And,
So how many months of bank statements?
typically they like to see a year of
Okay.
employment. If
So they
you're
take 12 months of deposits and they're like, okay, you got 12 months of deposits, you have 72,000 worth of deposits. This is
right,
what you make, more or less.
correct. Yep.
And what about typical down payment for a Tesla when someone's fresh out of bankruptcy or in the middle of filing a bankruptcy on a Chapter 7?
Yeah. So with down payments, the answer is that Ash Auto Group is really the only dealership in the country that solely exists to serve the bankruptcy community. So we know our clients from a down payment perspective. We try to keep them as low as possible. Now, I always say if, there's a lot of dealerships out there, touting zero down programs and all these things. The devil's in the details, so you have to really make sure that you're getting yourself in the best situation. But with ours, we try to keep our down payments as low as possible.
So what is that about? Like for a Tesla, so let's just pretend like what's the cost of a Tesla right now, approximately?
All of our vehicles, including Teslas, are between 20 and $30,000.
Okay, so let's just say you got $25,000 Tesla, right? How much down are we talking on 25,000?
Sometimes it's 500, sometimes it's a little bit more. It depends
Okay.
on where you're located. Did you have an auto loan before bankruptcy? Did you have any payments on that auto loan?
Okay.
Is your first auto purchase? So, the calculations are always different. So I can't give a specific number, but our business model is to try to keep our down payments as low as possible.
So I mean, like 500 on $25,000 car, that's like 2%. Like
Correct.
it's small, basically. Okay, what about interest rates? How are the interest rates different before, like when you're fresh out of bankruptcy versus 2 years after bankruptcy, or what does that look like?
Well, I'd probably compare it to, what your interest rate options were before bankruptcy
Okay.
versus going through bankruptcy.
Hmm.
And, it's really tough. We see folks with 30% interest rates on a regular basis before they filed.
And where
And
can they go now after they file and the banks realize that they're not going to file again?
yeah, so with our banks, our rates are typically between 7 to 18%.
Okay.
So actually, great reductions, a great opportunity. And again, it's because folks filing bankruptcy are looked at not as subprime borrowers, but actually, good candidates to loan money to.
Yeah.
So it's that. And then, our program, we use terms like date your car, don't marry it. Get a beautiful vehicle from Ash Auto Group, get your credit bill back up, stay in that vehicle for a couple years, and then even qualify for a lower interest rate and
Right.
either trade that vehicle in or refinance or wherever you want to go from
Yeah,
there.
the concept after bankruptcy is not, hey, go get a brand new car. It's get a
Correct.
different car that has the maintenance
Yeah.
and that it's taken care of, that you haven't driven for $15,000 without an oil change, your bald tires, et cetera, et cetera. That's the concept of get a different car, tee it up for you for the future. What kind of lenders work with people during bankruptcy versus after bankruptcy? Like, is there a difference?
Yeah. So how that works is when you're filing bankruptcy, before you file bankruptcy, obviously clients have a lot of debt that's been accumulated and different things. So what happens is when you file, since that debt is kind of wiped clean, if you're a 7 or restructured as a 13, the banks will look at you as a pretty good candidate to lend money to. Now, they all have their own individual criteria and different things, but in general, bankruptcy client, it's not treated as just a subprime person that has a lot of debt. There's an opportunity there that makes them a better candidate to loan money to. So it's kind of that right around that time of filing, time of confirmation, you're going to get better interest rates. You're going to have more options on the table for a vehicle loan. But if you wait too long after you file, like anybody, you're going to start accumulating some debt again through the, just natural expenses and things like that. And
Mhm.
then these great interest rates, these opportunities, they can get reduced. So it's very time sensitive to at least find out your options. And again, that's why we like to talk to our clients prior to confirmation of their Chapter 13, prior to their filing of their sevens, and really, early in the process, we have everything lined up. And at least our clients have the information. Ultimately, they're going to make the decision that's best for them, when to move forward, when to get a vehicle, and every situation is different.
So, with regards to Chapter 13, what does the court approval look like? That trustee approval?
Sure. So it's there's a couple things. It's either called a trustee letter, which we need for our banks to approve the auto loan, or a trustee motion. So what'll happen is as soon as our clients are confirmed, our Chapter 13 clients are confirmed, we'll send over an agreement to your attorney, and this is a very standard process. They're very familiar with it. And what they'll do is pass that along, that proposed agreement for a vehicle to the trustee, and then the trustee will then provide their approval, their letter, and that's what we need for our auto lenders to get the loan approved and get the vehicle shipped out. It's a very straightforward process. Attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys are very familiar with this process, very standard, and we do this. We're actually very specialized. We have an entire department here at Ash Auto Group BK that just handles our Chapter 13 clients. So we're very specialized in the space,
Perfect.
and we get folks in vehicles as quickly as we possibly can.
So, do you ever recommend, is there ever a time when you should wait until after discharge to buy a car, as opposed to after filing or after confirmation on a seven? Is there any reason why you want to wait, or is it like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. So, a lot of our clients, are barely getting by on the road in their current vehicles. So that's a big factor. A lot of times there's an immediate need. Now, every situation is different, but I always say, if you're going through bankruptcy and you have to choose between, something for your kids or rent or food, your vehicle maintenance that's gonna be one of the things that gets pushed down to the bottom of the list. So we always try to get our clients in vehicles as quickly as possible based on their immediate need. And the only time we'd recommend to wait, and again, it's a case by case basis. We really get all the information because we want to deal with you on an individual level, see where you're at in the process. If there isn't an immediate need, the only time we would wait until after discharge is if we needed to, get additional documents for the lenders, if there's some payments that need to be made, if we need to get a little
Mm.
bit of credit going after bankruptcy has been filed and discharge and start building back. Those are reasons to delay, but 99% of the time, it just makes more sense to get folks into these vehicles as soon as they can because they're going to start building back their credit with their first payment. So that's another huge factor as well. So the answer is no, we typically don't wait. It's ultimately the client's decision, but we want to at least have an option to get them into a vehicle as soon as possible.
What advice would you give a buyer who wants to buy something like a Tesla or a truck or something new, but might not be ready yet?
Yeah, so what I say, we try to be the absolute opposite of every dealership out there. In full disclosure, when my brother and I started this business, we had no dealership experience. And what that really means is we don't have to follow any of the bad habits that all these other places have. Their model is get a client, show them the shiny object, the vehicle, don't worry about price, don't worry about any of those things, get them focused on that. We'll figure all that out later. We're the opposite. We actually start with an application, a budget, an approval,
Yeah,
and then we go and we pick vehicles that fall into that because we're really trying to do the right thing for our clients and set them up for long-term
yeah,
success. Yeah, so
right.
it's just an opposite approach. People are like, let's start with the vehicles. Everyone wants to talk about that. You're a dealership. We don't even get to that point until we see what we're dealing with and we have a budget set up.
Thank you, Jonas. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.